Hi, and good morning, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy Monday morning to join me. I really do appreciate that. I didn't get too much sleep last night, but as we all know, your boy here has many outside problems outside of the show, that we all kind of know a little bit about. Not too much, some more than others. Some I hear have even prevented themselves from watching my show, so that's really unfortunate because she's my favorite person and I just can't seem to get it right, But I'll tell you, one thing that's no joking matter, okay? Seriously, is the way this country treats you. The way that it treats me, all right? Oh, let me walk that back. This country is amazing and it's incredible. Best thing ever. The government, okay? And specifically, usually, and there's a running record of receipts, going back years of how I explicitly have a certain stance against what I perceive to be fascist behavior occurring on the daily from basically every government that's, modern and, treating all their people like nothing, And I say that because we're normal, most of us, you feel me? Especially for watching this show, you know what I mean? Or making this show as it is. There are a large group of people out there that, you'll never see shopping, that you'll never see driving to a store, you know what I mean? And that's because a lot of service jobs exist, delivery services, those will be automated soon and stuff. And pretty soon, even those few jobs that are now available to people like myself and all the other people that kind of provide those services will not be available, you feel me? And so that's just a little future thinking. I preface the speech today, just because it's important to have a good frame of mind, walking into this conversation talking about how right now I'm alleging, and it might be speculatory, you feel me? But I'm a nobody, at this very moment in my life, you know what I mean? Write me off, you feel me? But again, there is a pretty good record of running receipts here on the channel, of talking about things that have sometimes happened, just kind of talking, and so I'm walking in the grocery store yesterday, you feel me? And back in the early 20th century, I want to say, right? That's when oil was discovered and stuff, but there were the oil tycoons, right? And there was the monopoly, which ironically did break apart. There was a pretty substantial push towards antitrust legislation, in the middle of the 20th century. That much I know. It was pretty effective. Initially, the government had rolled out striking antitrust legislation, and again, all of this antitrust legislation was a result of the big oil companies. They just own too much, you feel me? It wasn't fair. It wasn't necessarily capitalist, right? Just because, I guess one could make the argument, you're right, but then what happens to good old Cappy Boy when they do have everything and they can control the market and they can dictate prices, and that's no longer capitalism. You may have won the game of capitalism, but you've entered into a different sort of playing field, my dude. You feel me? You're playing Minecraft in Minecraft, which can be done now and is so incredible. You know what I mean? Seriously, that just happened I think a couple months ago, but in case you didn't know, you can now play Minecraft inside Minecraft, the full version of Minecraft in Minecraft. So, that's all that I'm saying. Antitrust legislation is extremely important because it deters what otherwise would be not capitalistic behavior. And the last time that I checked, everyone was sort of playing the game of capitalism, right? Are we still playing that game? For a long time now, food has been a topic of discussion, and my allegation toward the food industry is that they're similar to the oil industry in that only a couple companies own all the food. And what's more fascist about all of this is that local grocery chains, right? And I'll give you a good example. So like your Albertsons, your Jewel Oscos, your Kroger, your Lion Mart, your Lion Food Kings, your Food Kings, you know what I mean? I do have the privilege of going all over the country, and I don't quite remember all of the local names of all the different places. But yeah, they're all the same though. You feel me? Like you be in a place on the East Coast and it's like some weird name, you know what I mean? And then it's like owned by Kroger. You feel me? And so what I'm saying is that if capitalism were the real end game, people like Walmart would like, and this is interesting because they don't, but people like Walmart would have taken over the entire food industry distribution system, right? So like it's weird how there's a Walmart next to a Smith's. You feel me? Because like both of those stores have to get their product from somewhere. And so since they're in such close proximity to one another, why is there two? You know what I mean? Like why isn't there just one? Well, that's because for some reason, some safeguards are put in place for certain capitalistic behaviors, like, for example, your local Walmart not carrying a certain line of food or a product. I'll give you two examples. My local Walmart does not carry the 2-piece Oreo Reese cup packages, but the Albertsons does. The Albertsons by my crib sells 5-cheese flatbread pizza from Firestone. The Walmart by my house does not. The Walmart by my house does not sell any flatbread pizza in the frozen pizza section, while at Albertsons, it's completely stocked. Now, Albertsons is way more expensive than Walmart. Why doesn't Walmart sell what Albertsons is selling for cheaper? You see what I'm saying? Because they could certainly do that. But since they're not, that means people with brains got into a room and, were like, hey guys, we're going to make sure that the people at Walmart always have to pay just a little bit more marginally per unit item cost, or at around the same, okay? But what I'm describing here is not necessarily, it is fraud, but it's market manipulation, right? Like in and of itself, this entire discourse of discussion has been based on the premise that the grocery stores and the food distributors are manipulating the food market so that you pay more at home for your food. And I don't necessarily think that's cool, because in a capitalist country, you'd be able to save some money, get a building, start buying food from people and sell it, to compete, right? Ideally, that's again, very capitalistic what I'm describing here, I'm just saying, right? And so I think it's interesting, and I think you guys need to look at your local food places, right? What bothers me too, right? For example, there is a grocery store in the student ghetto of where I used to spend all my life, you feel me? A decade plus, and I'm not that old, but seriously, walking around those streets, and the Smiths, it's the only place that you can buy food, right? There's not a grocery store. There used to be a Walmart before they decided, as a group of fascists, that engage in however they identify within the government, literally I target and identify low-income or troubled neighborhoods, close down major food distribution sources, places where their food is sold, like Walmart. So here near UNM, they closed down the Walmart. Now people have lost access to food, and it doesn't really matter, because if you're rich, you can just drive a little bit further to a good grocery store. You go to Sprouts, whatever, Trader Joe's, you feel me, Whole Foods. There's a bunch of different options. But if you're not, you know what I mean, you're stuck going to that Smith's. The problem with going to that Smith's is that it's way more expensive than any other Smith's in Albuquerque. And you don't even know that because, you're, poor and young and, doing your thing. Again, I did that, and I also did a study in college, a long-term study in college, and I realized that I failed. But years of, sort of just my own speculation, right, with some empirical proof gathered in the process, quite literally. I was a TA for this community service learning class while I was an undergraduate in college. We went out on an adventure, went to all the Walmarts, and by city, every Walmart The most expensive Walmart is where the poorest people live. The cheapest Walmart is where the richest people live. Okay, again, now I'm just saying, right? Like, that isn't necessarily capitalism. That sounds like some straight manipulation. That's what that sounds like, because that's what it is. I'm tired of paying $8 for a dozen of eggs because Albertsons and Walmart get into a room and decided that that's what we're going to pay for a dozen of eggs a week, you know, for today, for this week. That is literally what the oil companies did, and that is why they broke up, right? Because it was collusion. That's collusion. You're not competing with Walmart so much anymore as you're negotiating with them to allow you to carry a different product so that they can like, it's pretty messed up when you think about it. But again, that's just my own opinion, and I stand by it. Hey guys, my name is, oh Jesus, no, this is me. Yeah, my name is Albert, and I do host a show called Vlogs About Nothing. Super fun. I'm having some good luck today at work. You feel me? I was really slow at work, and I got assigned some stuff to do, so good looking out, I mean, I didn't have that much stuff to do last week, so anything else, that I can do this week to be of service to y'all, like, sign me up. You know what I mean? But what an interesting night. I have not got any sleep. It was an awful night. I'm a terrible person. And, I just not sure what else to say. I really don't want to say anything else about it just because it's, I mean, again, I was told specifically that, someone would no longer be watching this show. Man, I'm so sorry, dude. Everything is pretty calm now, I'm cleaning my apartment and stuff. This is me being difficult on camera, and, no one's ever seen me blush before on camera, and no one's going to, you feel me? But, last night was a terrible night. I got no sleep, and now I have to do some work this afternoon, and I'm actually, like I said, a little bit excited about it because I didn't have anything to do last week. So instead of just repeating myself here and letting you, instead of doing this, I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm gonna make another video later and stuff. I have to, like, shave, and I gotta fix my life. You know what I mean? Anyways, you guys have a really good day. Thanks for watching my show, all right? I'm going to put an ad on this one, so hopefully, we get some new subscribers and some new likes. I think that's how we engage with this channel. Is that the metrics? Yes, but likes are so hard to come by. I guess I don't ask for them enough. Will you guys please like this video? All right, thanks for your time. Bye.